Coming up on today's show, we head back into the post-apocalyptic wasteland and break down Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Stay tuned. Welcome to Scary World, where we walk you through the latest and greatest in the world of horror. I am your host, Arturo Padilla.
Hi.
For those of you just joining us, don't forget to subscribe up above and say what's up down below. We have one major rule around here: no spoilers. Now that we got that out of the way, there are 5 categories: production, story, ensemble, horror, and legacy. Each category can score a maximum of 2 points.
Showtime.
Per IMDb, the synopsis goes: the origin story of renegade warrior Furiosa before she encounters and teams up with Mad Max. George Miller returns to direct this crazed, action-packed thriller. He showcases his unique vision once again and delivers another film with rich, captivating visuals and sound. Miller and his crew excel at composing and framing every single shot for peak effectiveness and impact. With all that said, there is a good amount of CG infused into this production, and it looks clunky at times and takes away from certain scenes. Miller decided to take some more artistic liberties in this movie, and some of it hits and some of it doesn't. This movie is filled with that, unfortunately. You have a lot of things that work, and you have other things that do not.
I will take this girl, otherwise it's war. Deal.
In this production, you have visuals that do not meet the quality standard of its predecessor, unfortunately. You get a lot of green screen looking things, a lot of computer graphics that do not even aid in the scenes. They're actually a detriment to those scenes. And as I mentioned, the green screens, there's a lot of that. And it's a little shocking because the quality of Fury Road was so high up that it is a little disturbing to see the lack of quality in this production. Again, we'll talk about the action sequences and stuff. That's not really impacted by the egregious use of CG and all that nonsense. But the shots look good. The movie overall looks good, but I am really surprised about the decisions they made with the computer graphics and the green screen stuff in this movie. And because of the CG and the poor use of green screen and After Effects in post-production, this thing gets a 1, unfortunately. I am very surprised still as to the lower quality of visuals we get here in comparison to Fury Road. The story and the script was written by George Miller and Nico Lotharis. Nico Lotharis also assisted George Miller on the previous installment, Mad Max Fury Road. In this story, these gentlemen accomplished some very good things with this story, but there are some stumbles along the way. The length of the movie, for instance, is a major issue, and it holds the movie back from being something so much greater. There's too much going on and not enough focus on what actually works in the movie, which is Furiosa and her story arc.
My childhood. My mother. I want them back.
This story needed a heck of a lot more Furiosa. We needed to see the entire coming of age story of Furiosa. We only get a little snippet of each stage of her life, which is really disappointing because what we signed up for was to see the story of Furiosa. What we got was a different thing. Sometimes it feels like you're watching 2 movies because we get the character Dementis that we'll get to in the next segment, Chris Hemsworth character, who does a great job, by the way. But we get the Dementis character and his beef with Immortan Joe, and then we have Furiosa there in the middle, and it just kind of gets a little muddled, unfortunately. And I really wish they focused on Furiosa and her growing up and her learning her skills and being the person that we know she grows up to be in Fury Road. And we don't get that here. We get some other stuff. We get a lot of other stuff, but we do not get enough of Furiosa. And that is the major problem this movie has.
Promise you'll find your way home.
It also seems like George Miller wanted to just cram as much lore as possible into this movie. But all that, unfortunately, just weighs it down, and we get no payoff for a lot of the ideas that we get in this movie. And for the lack of focus, this movie gets a 1 for story, unfortunately. I really wish they would have scaled back things a little bit and held back some theories and some concepts and characters, maybe for the next movie or maybe for a TV show or something. But I wish they would have squeezed as much as they could have from this Furiosa story. I think it's a missed opportunity that they did not do more with her. The cast and the characters were fantastic and one of the highlights of this movie. The characters are unique and visually interesting. There's so much to the look of these characters that it really just defines their personality and who they are. I really enjoy how much time George Miller takes in creating these personas and the look behind these personas. It is really something to just commend because they're so unique, each and every one of them. And you can tell that time was taken to try and flesh out how they became who they were and how they got there. I really enjoyed these characters as I enjoyed the characters in Fury Road. This is one of the highlights of George Miller's Mad Max franchise, are the wild and crazy characters that we get, and here is no different. Anya Taylor-Joy does a great job as Furiosa and deserves a lot more screen time, as I was talking about in the previous segment.
If you survive everything we take on together, you'll have all the skills you need to get wherever you want to go.
We needed to spend more time with her story arc, unfolding that coming of age story. Especially, we needed to see how she got her skills. There's a big time jump there, and we really don't get that deserved montage, that deserved training that she should be getting and that she said that she got in the movie.
I want them back.
We just kind of skipped to her being awesome, or even more awesome than she already was. And I think that's a little bit of a detriment to the story. But as I mentioned before in the previous segment, that's where this thing lacks. Furiosa was great, and her antagonist was even greater.
No shame in hate. It's one of the great forces of nature.
Chris Hemsworth did a fantastic job with his character, Dr. Dementis. He is scene stealing at every corner, and it is awesome. This character is great. He goes through many iterations of his character, Dementis the Red, the Dark Dementis, and it's just very awesome character development stuff. Chris Hemsworth knows how to shine when it comes to these very quirky characters. He did it with Thor. He's done it in his other movies before. His stint in Ghostbusters, he was kooky as they come, and he did a great job with that. In this movie, he definitely excels and anchors this movie, believe it or not. We get more Dementis than we do Furiosa, and that's not a bad thing because Dementis is great, but it should have been Furiosa anchoring this movie a lot more. But we get a lot more Dementis and a lot more action and personality and dialogue from him. And it really stands out, and he really shines in this movie. He makes this thing super awesome, and his character and what he does and all of his quirks as a character really pay off, and it is awesome. And for the great performance we get from Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa, and the even more fantastic performance we get from Chris Hemsworth as Dr. Dementis, this movie gets the full points of a 2 for ensemble. This thing was great. The characters were awesome. They were interesting. They were unique. They looked great on the screen, and Chris Hemsworth shines. He's not just Thor, folks. There was plenty of blood, gore, and violence. The body count was definitely increased along with the gore, and it is much appreciated. The majority of this blood and gore is practical, and it looks gnarly on screen. They did a good job of having a lot of prosthetics, and the prosthetics are just all beat up and withered and tattered and torn and scarred up, and they look great on the screen, especially on that huge big screen. That practical stuff really pops. The star of the show, once again, is the phenomenal vehicular action. plenty of road war, and it is absolutely awesome. It did not disappoint. Man, I really love the way George Miller shoots this action stuff, man. I know he did it with the first Mad Max. You got a little taste of that. Road Warrior gave you a little bit more. Fury Road gave you the whole shebang. And this one continues along the line of that same tradition. The Road War, as they call it, it is a sight to behold. There is a 15-minute long action sequence here, just about 15 minutes or so, and it is just this war rig just being attacked, and it's awesome. It really is awesome. I alone could just watch 2 full hours of the war rig on Fury Road. It was entertaining, it was suspenseful, and a heck of a lot of fun. That being said, we do get a tremendous amount of action, and it is compensating for the pitfalls in the story. I'll take it for what it is, because that war rig stuff is great, and the action sequences are just filmed so nicely, so polished. You can see everything, great angles from everywhere, great practical. Here they use green screen and CG at some points, and it looks seamless. In other parts, not so much. But the action and these big old trucks and these old cars and these motorbikes, it is fantastic to see on screen, and I love watching every single minute of the action in this movie. And for the high body count, all the body parts, the practical effects, and the awesome truck action, this movie gets the full score of 2 for horror. Man, this is just action after action after kills after action after kills, and on and on and on. It was great. It was a lot of fun. This was a really good movie. I enjoyed the heck out of this thing. I do wish we got Furiosa's full coming of age journey. Her character is amazing and really deserved the entire treatment. With that said, we were introduced to some really cool lore that adds more interesting layers to this post-apocalyptic wasteland. And I also wouldn't mind seeing more action from the Fury Road. The movie is long, as I mentioned before, but it did captivate you with the action. And for the great lore that we get sprinkled in throughout the movie, yes, it doesn't get fully explained at some points, but it is something to keep an eye on. It is a little tidbit, a little morsel of information of this post-apocalyptic world. This movie gets a 2 for legacy. I love the way how George Miller and company tried their best to build this world and give us more information and more detail as to what happened, how we got to where we got here. And I think they do a good job here, an admirable job. I think it could have been done a little bit better if they focused the story a little bit more and maybe broke it up better. You didn't have to squeeze all this stuff into one movie. You could have just focused on Furiosa and done some other branching off stuff if possible. But I think this movie is successful, and I think it is a very good prequel to Fury Road. So to tally it up, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, received a 1 for production, a 1 for story, a 2 for ensemble, a 2 for horror, and a 2 for legacy, bringing its total score up to an 8. I really enjoyed watching this movie in theaters. It is a grand spectacle and deserves to be watched on the biggest screen you can find. Go watch Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, in theaters now.
Can you tell me what time it is?
And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you for watching Scary World. Don't forget to drop a comment down below and hit the thumbs up on the video. Most importantly, do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell all your friends, all your family, and their pets to come on down to YouTube. Subscribe to CorpseFeed. We have spoiler-free horror movie reviews for you guys, dropping every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We also have the CorpseFeed official podcast, The Morgue, dropping every Tuesday wherever you get your podcast streams. We are also on all the social platforms. Go say hi and what's up over there. Go like, subscribe, and share. We are everywhere, folks. We will see you on Monday for another episode. And remember, it's a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.